Saint Vincent is a volcanic island in the Caribbean. It is the largest island of the country Saint Vincent and the Grenadines island chain. It is located in the Caribbean Sea, between Saint Lucia and Grenada. It is composed of partially submerged volcanic mountains. Its largest volcano and the country's highest peak, Le Soufriere, is active, with the latest episode of volcanic activity having begun in December 2020 and intensifying in April 2021. There were major territory wars between the indigenous population of the Black Caribs, also called the Garifing, and Great Britain in the 18th century, before the island was ceded to the British in 1763 and again in 1783. Saint Vincent and the Grenadines gained independence from the United Kingdom on October 27, 1979 and became part of the British Commonwealth of Nations thereafter. Approximately 130,000 people currently live on the island, and the population saw significant migration to the UK in the early 1900s and between the 1940s and 1980s. There has also been significant migration to Canada and other larger neighboring Anglo-Caribbean islands. The main island consists of Kingstown, the capital, with the rest of the island divided into the 5 main coastal strip towns of Leao, Baruali, Chateau Belair, Georgetown, and Caliaca. The people of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines are formally called Vincentians. Colloquially they are known as Vinchis or Winchies. The majority of the island's population is of Afro-Vincentian descent. However, a sizable portion of the population consists of Black Carib descendants, white descendants of English colonists, Portuguese descendants of indentured servants and a significant number of Indo-Vincentians, descendants of indentured workers with Indian heritage. There is also a sizable mixed-race minority. In 2012, the population of the island was approximately 130,000. The main religions are Anglican, other Protestant denominations such as Seventh-day Adventism and Spiritual Baptism, as well as Hinduism. Adult literacy was 88.1% in 2004. Infant mortality in 2006 was 17 per 1,000 live births and life expectancy for men stood at 69 years. 74 years for women. The active workforce in 2006 was 57,695 and unemployment in 2004 was 12%. Before 1498, the island was called Hirona by its indigenous inhabitants. Columbus named the island Saint Vincent, since it is said to have been discovered on the 22nd of January, the feast day of the patron saint of Lisbon and Valencia, Vincent of Saragossa. Columbus and the Spanish conquistadors embarked on slaving expeditions in and around Saint Vincent, following royal sanction in 1511, driving the inhabitants to the rugged interior. But the Spanish were not able to settle the island. In the 1500s, Columbus and the conquistadors noted there was a significantly large African population living amongst the native population, whom they assumed had come from shipwrecked slave ships or escaped from St. Lucia or Grenada to seek refuge in St. Vincent. They were called Black Caribs, but are now known as Garifing. The large population aggressively prevented European settlement on St. Vincent until the 18th century. The first Europeans to occupy St. Vincent were the French. However, following a series of wars and peace treaties, these islands were eventually ceded to the British. While the English were the first to lay claim to St. Vincent in 1627, the French, centered on the island of Martinique, became the first Europeans to invade the island, establishing their first colony at Baruali on the leeward side of St. Vincent in 1719. African slaves were made to cultivate coffee, tobacco, indigo, corn, and sugar on plantations operated by the French colonizers. Under French dominion, Saint Vincent was known as Île Saint-Marcouf. Saint Vincent was ceded to Britain by the Treaty of Paris, after which friction between the British and the natives led to the First Carib War. Upon taking control of the island in 1763, the British laid the foundations of Fort Charlotte, which was completed in 1806. The island was reverted to French rule in 1779, then regained by the British under the Treaty of Versailles. Between 1793 and 1796, the Black Caribs, led by their chief, Joseph Chatoyer, fought a series of battles against the British. The combat ultimately ended in a treaty, after which 5,000 Garifing were exiled to the smaller island of Baliso off the coast of Bakuya. Conflict between the British and the indigenous peoples continued until 1796, when General Ralph Abercrombie ended a revolt fomented by the radical Victor Hughes. The British deported more than 5,000 Black Caribs to Roatan, an island off the coast of Honduras. Like the French before them, the British also made African slaves work plantations of sugar, coffee, indigo, tobacco, cotton and cocoa until full emancipation in 1838. The economy then went into a period of decline, with many landowners abandoning their estates and leaving the land to be cultivated by liberate